Let's go. Welcome. Yeah, it's just one of those days. It's Fred Durst Friday, guys. Carlin, you guys know what Fred Durst Friday is, right? Oh, you're on mute. We can't hear you for some reason. Nope. Shane, can you hear me? I cannot hear you. We're having some technical difficulties, guys. Who can hear who? Who can you guys hear right now? Carlin's on mute. Let's unmute Carlin. Shane, can you? Shane, say something. I think Shane's messing with us. Classic. I heard some shuffling around on the other side of Shane's computer, and I was like, man, I think I can hear him.
Had to, follow suit with Carlin because she's just
I should have caught on. I totally should have caught on. That was so good.
This is planned. Carlin and I planned this ahead of time, and we were like,
Carlin's just going along with it for the entire show.
Yeah.
The ultimate prank. Freaking love that, dude.
Love it.
Dude, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Dude, I'm doing good, man. You look fantastic. What have you been up to? Is that a new hairdo?
I was going to ask you the same. I saw a video of you recently with like a shorter cut, and I'm like, that's not Jesse. Who the heck is this other person? He's got this hair going, and like it doesn't match, So
I appreciate that, man. I actually I was on a networking Zoom with somebody this morning, and right before they hopped off, man, they were like, "Hey, great hair." I was like, "Thanks, thanks for noticing."
And now you know what it feels like to be me. Every meeting I go into, everyone's like, "Fucking awesome hair, man," and I'm like, "Thanks." It was a joke.
And I'm like, thanks, man.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know how to take compliments, so I'll just say thanks and just leave.
Dude, you know what? I think that was one of the hardest things about kind of getting into this. Like talk about mindset and things like that. And not to get too much into this. Like, I know we got other things we're going to talk about today, but you mentioned like accepting compliments. When I used to get compliments, it would be like I felt uncomfortable about it. And I think a lot of us do. And we tend to just have this natural tendency to just be like, hey, thanks, but it's not a big deal, man. Like, I was going to do this thing anyway, or I was going to, you know what I mean? Like, we have this natural tendency. And I had a friend of mine really put something into perspective for me that I'll share with you guys real quick before we hop in here. It was actually a coach of mine and a mentor of mine. Him and I were on a Zoom, and we happened to hop on a Zoom with somebody else. And I received a compliment from somebody, and I didn't feel worthy of that compliment. Like, to me, it's like, hey, it's not a big deal, man. Like, happy to do it. You know what I mean? And the way that I think we all kind of have this natural tendency to say something like that or respond in that way. And he caught on to me. He stopped me right there in front of this other individual. And I'm grateful that he did. I'm grateful that he called me out. And he said, Jesse, hold on a second. He said, I want you to picture it's your anniversary. And you've known your anniversary is coming up. Your wife has wanted this present, and you took the time to be thoughtful and to put something together and go out of your way and hire somebody to make something that's sentimental, that, you guys will be able to reflect that it is a memento to your relationship and your marriage and your guys' life that you've created. And you spend a couple months, you put this together, you're coordinating things, you put together a big like surprise party, and you have her friends show up, and then you give her this gift. Like, how would you feel if she was like, no, that's okay. And you took the time to put, her favorite wrapping paper on it and make it look nice and pretty. And you picked out a specific bow with her favorite color. And then she just says, no, it's okay. Like, how would that make you feel? I'm like, dude, I would feel devastated. And he's like, bro, that's how people feel when you say things like that, when you just try to push a compliment off. And I know that's not the intent, but they're giving you a gift.
Mm.
And it's so important to take that and to say, thank you. I received that. And I was like, mind blown. Mind blown.
You got a good mentor, my friend. You got a very good mentor.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Well, I've just been really intentional with surrounding myself with really great people, just wonderful people who are like good to their core.
Mhm.
And I have a very small circle, as you know, and you're one of those people in my very small circle. And I learned from you just as much, bro. I want you to know I love you and I'm grateful for you. And it means the world to me that that we have this friendship and that we're able to do things, and that you flew from all the way. Like, I don't even know. I don't know if you had a longer flight to Vegas or if I had a longer flight to Vegas, but the fact that you came out there, man, just meant the world to me. And man, it was really awesome. I was so grateful to be able to meet you in person and to do all those things. So thank you for being a light in my life and allowing me the opportunity to continue learning and growing myself from the things that you've experienced, the things that you're doing. And it's just really important that we all have our Shane and Carlin. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Absolutely.
We gotta follow the crowd. Mine doesn't do that. Carlin's got
Get
like
an apple.
Perfect heart though. Like she's got like all the curve, everything. Mine's all like boxy and stuff. It's like, no, thank you for that. It really means a lot to be surrounded by you and Carlin and the people in our sphere, right? It makes all the difference in the world. And to go on that note, flying to Vegas was
hot.
It was hot. But flying to Vegas meant a lot more than I think you guys know for me, right? Like I know that I influenced other people while I was there and I made an impact on them. But I think that I know that for myself that it made just as much, if not more, of an impact on me to be there and to be back in that space of giving value and being in front of people and being surrounded by people that I love and love me and support each other. And that was huge. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for pushing me, right? Because you were like, yo, I'm inviting you to this thing. Like you know, this is in February. You're like, yeah, I'm doing this thing. You're coming. I was like, okay. Like, I'm good. You know, just to help me elevate. And so I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, thank you, bro. Thank you. Pleasure's all mine, man. Needed somebody else there with some hair, dude.
Hey, you know, I was in a meeting with a broker or a mortgage broker a couple months ago for commercial deals. And she comes on the call. She goes, "You must have the best haircut in all of the industry. Like you got the," and I was like, "Yes, sick!" Like I got that going for me. So that was pretty amazing.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, maybe we ought to start like a side thing where we like talk about hair and real estate. You know, like I've seen some girls. This is such a podcast conversation. I love where this is going, dude. I've seen some girls. You know, part of their like social media thing is like when they get up in the morning and to find it, like a lot of times they don't have an opportunity or time throughout the day to put out content. So what they have found is they'll put the phone up to the mirror and they'll do their makeup while they're like spitting gold. And it just becomes a thing. Maybe maybe we ought to start something like that, man. Maybe we'll go live. We got to coordinate the you know, when we do our hair every single day together, and we'll go Instagram live or something.
I mean, I take all of like 3 seconds, so I think it would be the shortest live out there.
Oh, I've got about 40 minutes, so you can spit gold while I put myself on mute and have the hair dryer going.
There you go. I'm gonna have to send you some product that actually works. You know.
Oh, I love this. Carlin, can you hear us?
We can't hear you. No.
I was hoping Carlin was going to have like hand gestures. Like, I think Carlin just told me to steal third.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys all for being here. I see everybody in the comments. My goodness. Wow. Just the love, the wonderful people that are here. Nathaniel's another wonderful and beautiful individual. I love him and his wife. Karen Thrasher. My goodness. Karen. Shout out to Karen. Karen, thank you for being here. Karen and I did a Zoom, I think it's on my YouTube channel, all about private money. And speaking about dropping bombs, Karen was dropping a lot of bombs. If you guys haven't been in there yet, make sure you guys check it out. Sean says, I made it. Dude, thank you for being here. We've got something really great that I want to go over with you guys today, and Carlin and Shane as well. Carlin, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, we
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, what did you do?
You're talking the entire time.
Aaron, thank you for being here. Appreciate you.
Tell James I said thank you. I found the settings on StreamYard. 2 points. Nailed it. Yeah, I was like sitting there. I was like, oh, I was an 8th grade girl. I mastered the heart.
You did.
What's going on with you? It's Fred Durst Friday. Carlin, do you remember what Fred Durst Friday is?
I remember the whole story.
Okay, what is Fred Durst Friday? Tell me. For anybody who doesn't know, why is Fred Durst Friday so amazing?
Because the Air Force needs some sort of happiness.
That's such a great answer. That's it. We won't give any more detail. I guess you just had to have been there. But yeah, let's go.
Oh, I can't do that.
Love that. Well, Carlin, before we hop into this real quick, what announcements do we got for everybody? We've had a busy week. We've got 4th of July coming up. As you guys know, we just got back from Viva Las Vegas, baby. And it was awesome. It was awesome.
Awesome.
And, awesome. Dude, I had this girl in the Air Force I used to work with that was from New Jersey. And she'd always be like, Jesse, let's go get some coffee. Let's get some coffee. And so now every now and then, like, that's when I say awesome, like it just comes out that way. So it's just kind of one of my weird clicks, I guess. But yeah, we got back from Vegas, which was awesome. Exactly awesome. We had so much freaking fun. I'm excited to do it again. We're already talking about and planning numero 2. So super excited about it. Thank you guys all for coming out. Thank you guys for being here. What announcements do we have for everybody starting? Is it today? Or is it next week? That was for you, Carlin.
I was like, I don't know what I feel like we're talking in code here.
No, it was book club. Usually we make an announcement about book club. Is that today or is that next week?
That's next week. That's next week. So we're reading a book called Blue Fishing. If you guys would like to partake.
It's a good book.
I was like, yes. So we're reading Blue Fishing. Book club is next Friday at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Because I translate for everyone. So
you didn't say Alaska.
3 p.m. Eastern.
Add the 2, subtract the 5.
Time. I know. I was like, crap, I have to math now. Yeah, 3 p.m. if you're in Alaska time. I think it's 1 p.m. if you're in Hawaii.
Yeah, in case Ken Wilson's here, he's going to want that translation. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you.
James suggested it. Haley said James suggested it because you suggested it to him, Shane. So, Shane, this is all because of you.
I didn't suggest it to him. He suggested it to me.
Oh, there was some sort of suggestion communication here where you were involved. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, and so that's a story James can talk about. But I was in Hawaii after reading that book, and for those of you who don't know the concept of it, it's the idea of going really big, right, and doing the most outrageous things and the why not of it, but also how to stay in contact with your people, right, who your clients are or who you're working with or anything like that. And it's about the simplest things of like sending reminders and like just sending them a letter, and say, hey, cool, I saw this and I thought of you. And that's it. Like, it could be something as simple as a magazine page, right? That's the concept of this book, that it's just like you're wanting people to know that they're front of mind. And it was really, really cool because when I was in Hawaii, I was visiting in February, I was visiting family. And when I went there, I was in Hawaii. So I'm like, well, there's fish here. And so I went and found a magnet that was a little blue fish that said Hawaii on it, and I mailed it to James, and just let him know that I was thinking of him, thought about the book, and because he recommended the book Blue Fishing, I found a blue fish, and a week later he sent me a picture. He's like, "Fucking thank you, man! Like that's the first time anyone's ever done that," and so that just felt really good to know that just brought light to someone's world, whether we're doing anything together, whether we're doing deals or he's a client or whatever. Like it's just something small and something simple that you can do that really doesn't cost much to make someone feel happy, even just a picture of some food that you saw. So that's a really great book, and it's just a neat book. So thank you, James, for sharing that and getting everyone else to read this, which is cool.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I remember you telling me about this story because around the same time, I'm going to say, Shane, you're like the master at that. So for those of you who don't know, Shane and I share a love of bees. And about the time that you were in Hawaii, I believe, I actually got a composition notebook of bees on it. And that is over on my shelf because it's fabulous.
Yep.
So that's a really great reminder. Thank you. So if you guys want to read that, that's what we've got going on next Friday. Maybe if we're lucky, we can have Shane hop in for a little bit. No pressure.
I'll see what I can do.
No pressure.
No pressure. So,
thank you for coming on, Shane, first of all. I kind of wanted to dig into a little bit about partnerships, how those are important, how those have evolved, where you're at in your business. I know you came through the Growth Co. a few months ago. Was it months?
A year
I was
ago.
like, it's past months now.
Yeah. Yep. Almost a year.
Yeah. So about last year. So you've done all sorts of leaps and bounds. You've had a couple different partnerships. Let's touch on those. Yes, Allison, Jeff is also into bees.
Nice.
So let's go background. You are a farm ball playing retired teacher, ended up in real estate. What is that? How did that evolve? How did you first let's debrief this. For those of you who don't know, what is farm ball?
So I live in a small town in Vermont, and there is a farm that has been playing volleyball for the past 30 years. And it's just a bunch of people who get together. Most of us are like homesteaders or just down to earth people who want to just hang out with people. So every Sunday night, or like I think Memorial Day through, is it Memorial Day is in the spring or is it the other way around? I never remember. Whatever the first holiday in spring where everyone starts off their summer starts around that time, Mother's Day ish. And then it goes until it doesn't. So, so I want to rephrase why I said it goes until it doesn't. There's a guy named Willis who runs the farm there. He runs it's a woods cider mill, and they make boiled cider and a couple other things. Boiled cider is just evaporated cider. They actually take cider and they just keep boiling it down until it turns into like a thick liquid, and it becomes a syrup. And so, first year I was there, I asked them, I was like, so, it's October right now. Like, when do you play till? It's like, we play until we don't. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, when people stop showing up, we just stop. And I thought that was the most amazing, down-to-earth answer I've ever heard, because it's not like it was on a schedule. It's not like it was on any type of like, you have to stop and start at a certain time. It was like this guy literally lives by the seasons, and it was the most amazing thing, because his business is based on seasons. It's like, when did the apples come in? Oh, the apples didn't come in this year yet, or whatever it was. And it just gives you a different perspective on life when you talk and you're around people like that, compared to like, we're trying to push through and do a lot of things, and we have goals. But yeah, farm ball is yeah, there you go, Karen. Farm ball is just amazing. It's just a really great time to be up in Vermont in the summertime. And today is like the perfect like San Diego, California day over here. It's like the perfect weather. So
I can hear the birds.
Yeah, we got hummingbirds flying around and some robins and whatever other. My dog went out in the field yesterday, and I saw 13 goldfinches just flying around out, like just pop up out of the grass and just go. And that was really cool. So that's what farm ball is. Long story.
Sorry, off the top of my head, off the cusp here. How does the lifestyle that you live in Vermont, how has that played a role into the lifestyle you've developed within real estate?
That is a great question. So I used to live in New Jersey, and the lifestyle of New Jersey is just go, 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 right? It's, you know, what's next, what kid is doing what activity, who's going where, what's happening. There's really no time. Like in New Jersey, I didn't really know I knew two of my neighbors, three of my neighbors, kinda. We never really hung out. There'd be like a barbecue once a year, and that was about it. Um, but I lived in a community of probably 1,000 homes nearby, and I knew like 2.5 households. Knew of them. Like I didn't know them. Like I wasn't very. I tried to be intentional. Like when we first moved in, here's cookies to the closest three houses, but there's an entire street and then like development behind me, and it was never really. There was not much connection. Everyone's getting in the car, driving to work for 45 minutes, back and forth, etc. And when I moved to Vermont, it changed. It's something I've always wanted. I've always wanted connection. It changed the way I look at how I want to interact with people. So when I moved to Vermont, within about a week and a half, I knew all of my neighbors within a probably quarter-mile radius. Which, mind you, we have 5 acres in between, so that's like 6 neighbors. But still, I also was pretty much immediately within the COVID bubble of 2 of my neighbors. So we all were hanging out like every other day. I have my Vermont parents over here, Karen and Frank. I've got my buddy Jim down the hill. And then we have our friends who come back and forth, the Wolves. They come back and forth from Boston to visit on the weekends. They live in a little like gnome log cabin. It's pretty sweet. But anyway, the connections and the community that I have here compared to, not to mention my farm ball friends and all my friends who are homesteaders and things like that. The connection I have and the intentional conversations we have, intentional get-togethers, is very different than anything I ever had in New Jersey. And so relating that to my business is anytime I get together with people, I want to make sure my values align. I want to make sure that there's a common thread. I want to make sure that, yes, we can make money together, but I also want to make sure that we have the same overall human values to make sure that things are not just about that money. It is about the money. We know that the reason we're in the room, but also I'm not going to deal with someone who doesn't make me feel comfortable and feels like they have an upper hand or whatever it is, like a lender who's doing lots of big deals and they're just like, oh, you're not worth my time, but they treat you that way. So that's how it kind of transcends into my real estate interactions in that way.
So treating your real estate people as neighbors, essentially, like,
yeah,
not the, hey, you're my neighbor, I guess we kind of have to share this wall, but hey, here's a fruit basket, this is what we're doing on Saturday, come over, grill some food, let the kids run, sort of real estate style.
Yeah. I met someone a little while back who does large multifamilies when I started getting into that world, and we had a conversation. We talked about all the things and about vulnerability and all the things that how I talk to people I need to be able to interact with, and that's something that's always big on the plate. And he talked about, I don't do deals with people if I don't want them in my backyard and having a barbecue. Like if I don't feel like I could do that with that person, I don't want to do a deal with them. And I thought that was a really great just threshold for who you do deals with. Like if I don't want to hang out with you, then I don't want to do business with you. And that was pretty sweet. Not to say you should turn down things, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to do deals and be locked in with someone unless I knew that we were on the same page. So that was great when I heard him say that.
Yeah, I mean, like, doing deals with someone you don't want to be doing deals with is like having a really crappy coworker. Like, we got into entrepreneurship because we're able to control the environment a little bit more. We have a little bit more flexibility. So I like entrepreneurship because you have the opportunity to see where your values align and where partnerships work, where they don't, how you can really bring things together and create something bigger than just, oh, it's money. I'm here for a paycheck. What about you? You too? All right, high five. Let's go complain about our boss.
Oh man. Yeah, I left a very toxic work environment in New Jersey before I moved to Vermont, and that's exactly how it was. It was very, very horrible to work in the same room with another teacher who I was surrounded with all 24/7. That was pretty terrible.
Yeah. So getting into this space, having the background of like the camaraderie, I guess is the word I would want to use to an extent. I could probably think of a lot more. I'm not going to do that right now. What?
Culture.
Culture. Yeah, thank you.
You talk about having similar values.
So how has that played a role into the partnerships that you've developed?
It's a great question. So when I first started in real estate, I partnered with one of my friends who does farm ball. He's part of my friend group here in Vermont. His name is Seth Teramain, and he is a wonderful person. And we are still friends to this day. We're not partners anymore, but we're still friends. Actually, we're going to a barbecue tomorrow together. But we joined up because, and when we first started, we talked about what we were willing to do and what we were not willing to do. And that meant a lot, right? That conversation and the way we separated and the way we were like, you know what, this isn't working out. We've pivoted. We've done this. It just hasn't gone the way that we both thought. Like we had these unspoken expectations that kept changing, right? And so the goal of that just from the get-go was we're preserving the friendship over the business. And we made money together. We did things together. And we probably could still be together in business, but it wasn't best for both of us in the long-term big scale, right? Like we both have big dreams and they're a little bit different than each other. So making sure that relationship was intentional was really great, but also we fell down the wholesaling rabbit hole and did not do what we set out to do. And that led to like, why aren't you doing this? Because it kept changing, right? And we were both thinking the other person should be doing this, and why is this changing? Why is that doing that? And so we basically separated like that. I did another partnership with Amber McCullum. She's also an amazing person, and we still are trying to figure out how to do deals together. And she's a money person, and I'm the deal person, and we're trying to find that middle space with each other. And we partnered up and tried something out, and we're like, you know what, this isn't really working out, not because of our relationships, just because of the nuances of it, her timeline and things like that. But people wise, that was another relationship where I wanted to make sure the partnership aligned, and it did, but also timelines were not. And now I'm partnered with Marley Tarbo, and she has really shown me the I want to say corporate side, but she's really not really like that. She comes from a corporate world, but she's all about people and relationships, and that was my biggest thing about everything, especially specifically what we're talking about. And to see someone as a C-suite level employee or entrepreneur working in a business, right, for someone else, to leave that mid six-figure company or salary to partner with me, and to know that our values are so aligned with each other, made me understand that, like, wow, I'm really there. I've brought together and I've cultivated, and so someone else believes in that, as well as our values align. And basically I go to work every day with her, and it doesn't feel like work. We goof off, we talk about stuff, we talk about our kids, and like it's a family oriented feeling, and that's just really, really important for the way I want to run business and I want to do things. And I've seen that with all of your group, right? Like you've got everyone in your family, everyone's family is part of everything in the Growth Co, as well as REI Volt and Third Mind. Like everything is integrated in the fact that you're all friends, that you're all family, and that means so much more than how many deals are we doing right this second, right? It means yes, that's important. That's always an important thing, but unless there's that synergy with everyone, it just doesn't work. And there's a book, I can't remember the book I read, but they talk about having to get rid of the cancer in the group, right? And if you have someone in your business, let's say you have a business you have the best salesperson in the world, but they're a total a-hole. Well, guess what? Everyone else hates their job because of this one person, and they might be making 80% of the sales, But guaranteed, if you go ahead and get rid of that person, those other people will elevate themselves to fill that void and to bring on the right people. That's the importance of business and partnerships and relationships in business. And I've learned that, just by not just through entrepreneurship, but through teaching throughout the years and having students who, why are you in this room? Like, what's the point of being here if you don't want to be here? So that's really led to a lot of being very selective on who we do deals with. And my partnership with Marley right now has been phenomenal in that way. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with how those relationships are going.
First of all, I actually added Marley on Facebook because of how much you talk about her, and like I love following her posts. Like I can jive with her. She's posting a lot about her kids and her family and her balance, work-life balance, and it's just like, yeah, this is, I see now. I want to actually backpedal just a little bit because you brought up something that I think not enough people are hearing and discussing. You had 2 partnerships before you found Marley. You separated amicably. You guys are your friend. You guys are all still hanging out. Like Amber does all sorts of cool shit. Seth is always on doing some cool shit. Like, but you separated in a way that maintained the integrity of the relationship. And I think when a lot of people get into business and a partnership doesn't work, they have this idea in their head that it has to be like cutthroat.
Mm.
Like how would you explain to someone how to actually separate in a professional way and still be able to maintain having a real relationship? Because I mean, I don't foresee Jesse and I ever separating in our partnership, but if something like ever took a turn, I would be devastated if I lost the friendship too.
Right. Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, it's not easy, right? Let's put it that way, right? Maintaining the relationship, like I'm not as close to Seth as I was prior to doing that because Seth is now doing his own thing, right? So like I was with Seth on the daily, we would talk. Now we talk to each other once every 3 weeks, right? So that is a real thing, right? But also we purposely went into it with the intention of preserving the relationship and understanding that if this doesn't work out, that's okay. All of these relationships, and that was a contract going into it, right? That was a verbal and a some of it was written, a lot of it was written actually. It was very intentional about how are we going to break up? How is this going to change? What if this happens? What if that happens? And knowing that our intention was to put food on the other person's table, right? And that's something that I learned from Jesse and Chris. The purpose of a partnership is to work for that other person. The purpose of being a boss is to work for your staff, to be a resource for those other people and to help those people thrive. Because if you're not doing that, then why are you in this position of I'll say authority, not really what I mean, but why are you in that position if you're not going to help people? And that's really, really important. And when you separate yourself from another person, the rollout on that, sometimes it's really easy. Like Amber and I had one conversation and we were like, so we're going to just not do this together for a little bit. Like, yeah, that work for you? I mean, I felt bad and she felt bad and we were like, okay, but it's not the right timing. It's not the right move for us to stay together on this. Like, okay, cool. Like, let's do that because we'll find a way to work together at some point. And if not now, then later. And if not later, then fine. We'll just still help each other, push each other along. And that was how the relationships ended, was what can I do to help you moving forward? So like Seth just reached out to me yesterday about something. He's like, hey, do you have any leads for this? Or do you have any contacts for this type of thing? And like, yeah, here, talk to this person. Like we're always trying to help each other. Hey, I need a PML. Hey, I need this. And we're elevating each other as much as we can, even though we're still not in business together. It doesn't matter. It's about preserving that relationship, even though the business, I mean, it took us 3 months to roll out that business. It took forever to separate ourselves once we were actually married and had a business together because we had money and finances and who loaned what to the business and all that fun stuff. But that all, that's why we brought in an accountant. We said, hey, we need you to look at all the numbers and figure out who owes who what. And that's how we went about it. We brought in a third party for the money side of things, because that's usually the part that gets messy. We didn't own anything together property wise, so that was easy for us. It's going to get a little messier once you have equity in a property of some kind. But yeah, you've got to try. That's the biggest thing. Partnerships, you have to try until you find the right fit. Because you're not going to know what you want until you try. And I think that's what everyone's scared of. You need to make sure that you give it a shot, because you can fail at it, and that's okay. You're allowed to fail at that, but it's not a fail because you both learned.
Dude, I love that, Shane. It's really interesting. I think a lot of people, at least in my experience, I've seen a lot of people where they're hesitant on making decisions because they want to make the right decision. They want to make the right choice. But one of the things that I think a lot of people lack to understand is it's not about their in a lot of circumstances, most circumstances, it's the decision is, do I eat a Snickers or a Butterfinger? And that's ultimately the business decision that has to be made. There isn't a right or wrong. It's you gotta make the decision, and then you gotta make the decision right. And when it comes to partnerships, I think we inevitably, we kind of put ourselves in a box of bringing somebody in out of scarcity or convenience, or just this need to be like, well, I don't want to do this on my own, so I should just bring somebody in. And then you end up, I love what Brandon threw in here. He said, communication is absolutely key. At 100% is. And I think there's two things. I think one, when you bring somebody in, you don't have to settle. You don't have to bring somebody in out of scarcity or out of convenience simply because you want one. Take the time and figure out what it is that you want to do, and who you want to be aligned with, and a lot of the values and the vision and the culture and all that kind of stuff. It's imperative to find somebody that you want to align with. I know a lot of you guys have probably heard me. There's a story I like to use when it comes to understanding conceptual, like how business is. We put ourselves in a box, and Simon Sinek he's got a really great book called The Infinite Game. And he talks about when we think about business, we think about it in a very finite way. And something that's finite is something that's in a box. So you think about a finite game, which we'll take basketball as an example. You have a team, only 5 people can be on the court at the same time. These are the boundaries. There's consequences if you go outside that boundaries. The other team gets the ball. A basket is when the ball goes through the hoop. That's worth 2 points. If you do it behind a line at X amount of feet, that means it's 3 points. If you have too many people on the court at one time, there's consequences to all these things. And then there's a beginning and an end, and it's split up into 4 quarters, and each quarter is X amount of minutes long. And I think a lot of people think about business in that exact same way. And the reality is, according to Simon Sinek, business is an infinite game. There are no rules. And there's this metaphor I like to use. I love Adam Sandler. I love the movie Billy Madison. But think about if you had to go back to school, if we had a Billy Madison moment and you had to go back to school, and you were able to operate in that environment with no rules, with no boundaries, as long as it was legal, moral, and ethical, would you do it the same way? And a lot of people would, just because that's their standard operating procedure. And that isn't anything against them. That's how we all fucking grew up. We didn't all grow up to be entrepreneurs. So we all kind of have this standard operating level that we think. And I like to challenge people, like, let's start with the path of least resistance. And like, for me, I loved English class, and I hated math class. Absolutely hated it. So if I was to go back and we were to operate in an infinite realm, in an infinite game, that means that if Carlin was really, really good at math, then I could bring Carlin in. Carlin says no. I know, me and you math was our Achilles heel. I know. Let's say Shane's really, really good at math. We'll bring Shane in. And Shane is like, oh my gosh, all I have to do is math every day. Like, and I freaking love math. Hold on. You're telling me that that's the only thing I have to do is the math homework. Like, beam me up, Scotty. This is amazing. I don't have to learn science, or I don't have to go into English and write, essays and diagram sentences and conjunction, junction, what's your function, all this other kind of stuff. Like, I don't got to do any of that shit. All I got to do is math. And I think that's the real genius of it, is a lot of people will bring somebody in and be like, hey, I need you to come in and do my math homework, but I'm going to learn how to do the math, and then I'm going to teach you how to do the math. And it's like, dude, you can literally have anybody you want, as long as it's legal, moral, and ethical. I mean, if Albert Einstein was still around, who's to say you can't reach out to Albert Einstein and have Albert Einstein come in and do your math homework? Like, why are we settling? Why are we operating in such a scarcity way? And so that's how I love to think about business as well as partnerships. And Brandon said something. I think that's one thing when you're looking for a partner, like, don't feel like you have to bring somebody in just because you feel the need to. Like, take the time and figure out what's important to you and write it down. Write it down in a journal. Write down some of the character traits that you would love to see. What are some of the skills and the habits? What is the vision of this person that you would love to be aligned with? What does your ideal partner look like? Probably, like a lot of you guys did before you guys got married, you guys probably had an idea in your head. And sometimes, to your point, because I went through a couple of partnerships as well before I found Chris and Carlin. And by going through those, I learned what I wanted and what I didn't want. But I wish somebody would have said, hey, Jesse, take the time and just outline, like, what does your ideal partner look like? And then from there, it's just talking to enough people. It's just volume. It's like, okay, I don't have to, how many people do I got to talk to before I find Albert Einstein? Like, that's it. You've already outlined like this cookie cutter. You just got to find the person that fits inside of that now. So that's one thing. And then two, I love Brandon brought up communication. Communication is such a vital thing. I think 99.9% of problems inside of business, whether it's with the client, whether it's with the customer, whether it's with the seller, whether it's with the business partner, whether it's with somebody on your business, whether it's somebody, whoever, 99% of these problems can be resolved through proper communication. I want to read you guys something from a mentor that shared this. And I just loved it. I think about this all the time, because when something happens, if you guys, let me know in the comments. Just put a yes in the comments if this scenario has ever fit you. Put a yes in the comments if you have ever had either somebody in your business or somebody you knew that made a decision, maybe without telling you or whatever it is. Maybe it caught you off guard and you started seeing red. And you're like, why would somebody do this? Or why would somebody say this? And you just start assuming, like, do they even know this? Why would they think that this is okay? Let me know a yes in the comments if anybody has ever experienced a scenario like that or something similar, where it's like, this makes no sense. Why would somebody make this type of a decision? Could be a spouse, could be a friend. It doesn't even have to be business related. And then what does that do to our emotions? Our emotions come in, right? Because of the way that we perceive that event transpiring. And then because our emotions are affected from it in a certain way, the action that we take, this is where like regret comes in. It's like, man, you got to be careful what you say, because you can't suck it back in. You can't take that back. So I want to share something with you guys real quick. And this is something I've become a very, very big practitioner of. Assume the best intentions. Conflicts that arise from differences of opinion usually mean that there are parts of the story you don't understand or haven't unearthed yet. Approach each situation ready to listen and to serve. And assume the best intentions from each person involved. Any conflict can be resolved if you start with a groundwork of service, leadership, and human kindness. If you guys can take that approach, especially in your partnerships, Things have to be made, decisions have to be made, the business has to move forward. When things don't always go according to plan, communication is going to save you guys. And always move forward assuming the best intentions, because there are things that you just simply haven't unearthed yet. So I just wanted to share that. I think for people that are looking for partners, or maybe some of you guys might even have some bottlenecks with your partners. Communication. 99% of these problems can be solved from just proper communication.
And to feed off that, Jesse, if you really, really think about problems in general, right? Think about problems around the world, problems in your own home, problems, at work, whatever it is, it's all miscommunication, all of it. And it's not being intentional enough with the people in your life to make sure that everyone's on the same page, right? If you're having problems with your spouse, it's likely because you're not talking to them, because you're all running 20,000 miles an hour. You're just high-fiving each other out the door, if that, or glaring at each other at that point, right? After you've done it for like 6 months. And if you're not talking and setting aside time to communicate properly and to speak their language, right? And there's the book that you guys read for book club about, Surrounded by Idiots, and talks about different languages of people's personality. If you're not doing that, of course you're going to run into issues. Of course you're going to think that the other person's thinking or doing something the wrong way, because you have this unspoken expectation that should be doing something a certain way, or should be raising your kids a certain way, or whatever it might be. And unless you're comfortable enough communicating that, you've got some work to do. And even if you are comfortable, you still got work to do. You've always got work to do. You've always got to communicate. So I totally agree with you, Jesse. It's really, really important.
I think to a degree, finding a business partner is similar to finding a spouse. Like, you have to be able to communicate with them. You have to be able to resolve conflict with them. I mean, yeah, you can separate, because it's kind of like dating. You're like, oh, this didn't work. Okay. And then you start getting into the legalities of things. Like, one thing I appreciate about my marriage, as well, like my personal marriage, as well as my business relationship with Jesse, is in both of those relationships, I can openly communicate the issues that are coming up so we can resolve them. Recently, sorry, I'll just do a quick plug right here. Recently, while you guys were in Vegas, I was in Miami. And in that time, James and I actually found an app called Paired. And that app has allowed us to communicate things that we hadn't thought of communicating on a more intimate level. And that has actually opened up a door for a better relationship. And so even just little things like that, little questions that come up, and you're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. I wonder how the other person feels about that. It just opens up so many doors when you start looking at things in a new perspective, whether it be marital, whether it be professional, whether it be friendships, whether it be a relationship with your kid, whatever that looks like. Just taking the time to look at it through the other lens and be like, oh, there it is. Because I know in all of the relationships I have with you, with Jesse, with my husband, with my parents, with whatever, the thing that I have learned the most over the last couple of years is that my feelings need to be articulated properly in my brain so I can articulate them properly to you guys. And being able to do that has resolved so many conflicts that would have probably stopped relationships like 5-10 years ago.
Yeah, I love that. That's so important.
That's why self-development is such a big thing. Understanding that how you think or what you assume is going on, when you assume not the best intentions from somebody else, again, that starts triggering and affecting your emotions. And then you're going to act a certain way because of those emotions. And if you don't have the ability to be cognizant of exactly those trigger of events so that you can stop it, like you said, you're going to put yourself in a position where you are stagnating business, you're stagnating relationships, you're stagnating a lot of people from being able to do things with you. Tiffany asks, real quick, what is the app again?
Tiff, the app is called Paired, and it is for marital relationships. I do not recommend this app for a business relationship. So,
oh shit, that's funny.
I love that.
So,
all right, Shane.
Jinx,
go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so I grabbed you for an hour, and I really thank you so much for giving me some of your time. I love getting to talk to you and kind of explore. I know there were some things that we wanted to go a little bit deeper into that we didn't have the opportunity to today. So what I'm thinking, if you're up for it, if you're up for the challenge, I would love to put you on the roster for a little bit later down the line, because I know you've got some crazy cool things going on. Like we have our Wednesday phone calls, and I always love getting to catch up on those. So if you're able to and flexible and willing, I would absolutely love to bring you back on at some point and kind of go into a little bit of detail about how you went from wholesaling to everything you're doing now.
I would love that. Absolutely. Yeah, especially as we develop it, it'd be nice to progress and show people how I got there as well. And that would be really nice.
Thank you for coming on and talking partnerships, because I think that's something that a lot of people need to hear and understand. Just like dating, you don't have to marry the first person.
Nope. You just got to try, and you got to give it a shot, and you've got to figure out what works and doesn't work.
Love it, brother. Well, thank you again, man.
Thank you.
I know we've got a phone call scheduled for later today. I'm super
Yes.
excited. I'll see you here in a few hours, brother.
All
But
right.
thank you guys. Thank you guys all for jumping on. Please give Shane some love. Shane, for everybody who wants to connect with you, who you're not connected with, which is pretty rare because you're pretty well connected. For everybody who hasn't connected with you yet, like, where's the best place they can reach out to you?
Yeah, two places. So my tag is down here, Shane Eddie Evans on all the channels, because who the hell has a middle name Eddie, except for me. And also, you can find me on Network to Net Worth on my group. You just type in Net Worth, the number 2 Net Worth. Come check that out. It's the one that's got me on it and fun real estate stuff going on. There's a couple other ones. They're posers. They're not real. Look for the ones with like 1,000 people in it. That's us. So come join us. Would love to have you on a weekly basis. We have a Zoom call. Jesse and I, started that, and Jesse comes in once in a while, and we get to do some great stuff. So we're going to have another call this Tuesday on partnerships. So diving deeper into how to work with your partnership and build out your business in that way. Would love to have some of you on there and be part of that. So that's Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern. Would love to have you.
Awesome. Love it, brother. Thank you for your time today, man. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to talking with you later. Thank you guys all for joining. For those of you guys that need help with underwriting, Zach Bush is doing an amazing underwriting Zoom right now in 1 minute. And for those of you guys that are clients of mine, I'm starting an office hours Zoom, just an open office hours. So if you guys need assistance with anything, I'm going to jump into there now. You guys can see me over there. Yeah, those are the two things we've got going on here in about 30 seconds. So if you need help with underwriting, you can reach out to any one of us. We'll send you guys the link over to Zach Bush's underwriting Zoom. And any clients that you guys need anything, I'll see you guys here shortly. So appreciate you. Thank you again, Shane. Thank you, Carlin. Hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.